Hey everybody, it's Michael from GetFitOver40.com with another informational video. A little bit of a subject that's got some controversy, at least in the fitness community. Basically it's TRT, Testosterone Replacement Therapy. Testosterone is considered a steroid, so a lot of people have mixed ideas about it. Is it cheating for people that are on TRT? Are they getting some sort of enhancement or boost over a natural athlete that's not on testosterone? So I want to discuss that, and basically the topic is, does TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, give you an advantage in the gym? So yes, testosterone is considered a steroid, but unlike most other steroids that bodybuilders take, or sports and performance enhancing drugs, testosterone is naturally occurring in your body. And the whole point of TRT is, what it does is it replaces what your body is naturally not producing, okay? So people that are on TRT are basically getting subsidized, or they're getting extra testosterone over and above what their body's producing, but that's because their body isn't producing enough. So similar to when women go through menopause and they don't have enough of the female sex hormones, so they get, I forget which drugs they get, but there's probably a variety of drugs that they can actually have. And one, by the way, is testosterone. Women can be on testosterone replacement therapy because if they're low on testosterone and estrogen, their doctor may prescribe them testosterone, which will boost the testosterone and it will increase the estrogen at the same time, because basically what happens is testosterone converts to estrogen along the way, or some of it does, and then it produces higher levels of estrogen, so that you're kind of killing or shooting two birds with one stone there. So that is a very common, I wouldn't say common, but it is something that women can do or can be on TRT as well. All right, so let's discuss this. Again, testosterone replacement therapy is generally a doctor prescribed type of concept. There are clinics that actually will prescribe it. So I'm not sure if they probably have doctors there as well, but they probably have people there that work with the clients. There's a doctor on hand, I'm sure, but the clinic itself is designed around the whole testosterone replacement. So it's not just doctors, there are clinics. So there's a number of ways that people can go about being on TRT. Again, doctor, clinics, and the last one being, self-diagnosed, I guess. Testosterone is available to people in different parts of the world. Some places you can walk into the pharmacy and get it. Here in Canada, it's not illegal to buy testosterone. We have really strange laws. You can buy it, you can own it, you can use it, but you're not allowed to sell it. It's illegal to sell. So how you get it is a little bit complicated, but it is possible to get it. You can also, we do have a medical system that allows for TRT here in Canada. So if your doctor decides that you're under the limit of the normal range, he can prescribe you testosterone. Now, what happens if you're just slightly above? You might still be experiencing some of those negative effects of not having enough testosterone, even if you're just a little above the cutoff. So I'm not sure, but you may be able to get a prescription, but it may not be covered, for instance, by your medical. So that's the cutoff, is for being covered by your medical here in Canada. So there's a bunch of different ways. You'll have to look into your country's laws and the legal stuff. But let's get into, now we've kind of basically already talked. I have my first point is, first off, what is TRT? We've kind of discussed it. It's a replacement therapy, again, for the testosterone your body is lacking. So your normal ranges should be in a certain threshold. If they're below that threshold, a doctor can prescribe testosterone to get you back into those normal ranges, okay? Not above or below, but typically I believe doctors would want to get you on the higher side, but still within norms. Their whole goal is to make you feel better, get you back to feeling healthy again. And we'll talk about some of the side effects in a second. Actually, let's do that right now. So what are some of the side effects of low testosterone? Well, for men and women, it can be the same too, but low sex drive. Now for men, it would be difficulty with erections, not for women there, obviously. Fatigue and lack of energy, that could be women and men. Loss of muscle mass, to some extent women, but a lot for men. Increase in body fat, again, men and women can, testosterone is a metabolism booster, puts on muscle to some degree. If you don't have it, you're going to have a little less muscle than you should normally have. Decrease in bone mass, Mood changes. If you're way on the bottom, you're going to potentially be depressed, not be very happy. And there's even potential for hair loss because your chemicals are out of balance, your hormones are out of balance. Things can go wrong, including hair loss. So what are normal prescribed testosterone levels? It really ranges. Everybody responds to testosterone therapy differently. Some people can be as low as 100 milligrams every couple of weeks. That might be a starting point with you and your doctor. Some people may need as much as 300 milligrams every week. That would be a little bit rare, but usually it's between 100 to 200 every week or two, okay? So that's pretty normal. Now to give you a context of what a bodybuilder would use for like taking steroids, your traditional, they're taking steroids for such and such to get, enhanced muscle growth. They're starting out at like 500 milligrams a week. That's like your starting point, okay? So 3 times above what a person on TRT would be taking. Now keep in mind, that's the testosterone they're taking. They may be taking other orals and other injectables at the same time, stacking with other performance enhancing drugs. And they can even be taking as much as 2,000 milligrams, so 10 times the amount that a TRT person would be on of testosterone per week. So that's, extreme cases, but we're talking, a bodybuilder, they're on a much higher level than a TRT person would be, okay? So give you an idea of that. All right, let's see here. Now, is a doctor the only person that can prescribe TRT? I think we kind of covered that. Yes and no. Clinics, they're obviously going to have a doctor on hand or somebody who represents that clinic, but there are clinics, and again, in some places you can just buy it, right? However that may be. So there are different ways of being on TRT. Not everybody taking testosterone is taking it for the purpose of getting huge. They may be just taking it because they feel or they know that their testosterone is low and they just don't have a prescription for it. So that's another possibility. Now, will a person on regular TRT, what is my question here? Will a person on a regular TRT program have an advantage in the gym over a person who is not on TRT? So this is the thing, right? Because, I'm fairly muscular, I'm fairly lean. If pretty much everybody or a lot of people on YouTube who've built themselves up have a certain amount of muscularity, there's certain, especially when they get lean and veiny and stuff, all of a sudden, all these, I'm not going to say haters, but whatever you want to call them, trolls, haters, come out, boom, you must be doing this, you must be doing that. There is no possible way you can stay lean and be muscular at the same time. You've got to be on some sort of drug, right? And so that's always prevalent on any channel. I get it too. I've had people, telling me all these list of drugs I'm supposedly taking, right? A whole bunch of them, all these things, not just testosterone, but other things to get cut and all these things, right? And they're adamant about it. They really believe I'm doing this stuff. That's the only way that they can comprehend me being like this, right? They don't think that perhaps it's diet and training. They just, and maybe a certain amount of genetics, but I don't think my genetics are that any freakish than anybody else. I just train really hard and I eat well, okay? So anyways, but people are going to believe what they want to believe. You can tell them all the things, you can tell them no, you can say whatever, you can tell them how much you train, you can tell them how much you eat, but they're still going to believe what they want to believe. All right, so getting back to the where were we now part of this review here. Will a person on regular TRT have an advantage in the gym? The short answer is no, absolutely not. If they're on a program, if it's regulated and they're within the norms, then they have zero advantage in the gym, okay? Because their levels of testosterone are at the same balance or threshold as anyone else, any natural person who's within the normal ranges. And people in the normal ranges can be on the low and high end as well. Some people naturally can be over the high levels. There definitely are people with elevated levels of testosterone, and they potentially do a little better in the gym, but it's not crazy night and day. Like, they're not like bodybuilder crazy. They just maybe can train a little less and get better results, right? That's all we're talking about there. So no, there's no advantage. And to give you an example, this may drag this review or this information video out a little bit, but to give you an example, let's use 2 race cars. Okay, 2 race cars, they're built exactly the same engines, the same car. they have turbochargers. So in this case, the turbocharger is kind of going to be like your testosterone, okay? What a turbocharger does is it takes back pressure from your exhaust and changes that over into air pressure going into the engine, which puts more air into the engine, which allows for more gas, which allows for a bigger explosion. But turbochargers can be adjusted in how much pressure they deliver to the engine. So you have two cars exactly the same, both have the same turbos, they both have the same engines, both drivers are just as good, they both perform the same. But one turbocharger isn't performing enough. That would be like the TRT person whose natural testosterone isn't producing enough. So in this case, the turbo settings are a little bit low. They're not adjusted up to the right amount of pressure. So of course, if they're racing side by side in the gym, the guy with the turbo that's not performing is going to be losing. He's going to, even though the cars are the same, he's not going to perform the same, right? So as soon as that mechanic, doctor gets involved, boosts the level of back pressure or pressure into the engine, gets the turbo operating on an equal level playing field, now both sports cars are adjusted the same. They both have the same amount of turbo boost. They're going to perform the same, identically. So that's what we're looking at here. TRT does not. Now, the only time that TRT would be an advantage is if somebody's, taking more than they should. So their doctor is prescribing more than they should be on, maybe either by accident or on purpose. It does happen either way. Like sometimes maybe doctors aren't regulating what their patients are on and they're not checking their levels. They usually do. They usually get them checked out. But perhaps sometimes it doesn't happen that way and that person might be above average significantly. But it would have to be significantly for them to notice a real benefit, right? So it does happen, obviously, with all good things, when people will take advantage of TRT, especially in professional sports. They'll get on TRT, doctor prescription to get testosterone, right? So that these drugs show up in their systems if it's allowed in that sport, because testosterone is synthetically produced. There's a byproduct, so people can tell when people are taking it, not just by the elevated testosterone in their body, but by some of the other byproducts that are produced by it. They can see that it's been in their body. So again, some people will take advantage of the testosterone TRT replacement therapy because they're going to use that loophole to get a boost or an increase to have an advantage. So of course that happens. And, potentially that could happen for just a non-athlete or a non-sport person who's maybe using TRT and maybe their doctor's giving them a little bit more just to get a little boost so they feel a little better in the gym. But again, it's not the same, not even near the same levels of what people on your bodybuilding steroids, their cycles, they're taking orals, they're taking all kinds of things, right? It's a whole different thing. So I hope you understand a little bit more about what TRT is. It's not this magic thing that's going to make people just like gods in the gym. Not at all. Most people on TRT, especially if they don't work out, you'd never even know. They're not going to look any different. They're not going to have any more muscle tone than the average person or any of that stuff. The last point I want to talk about is, here it is. Should a person be outright about their TRT program with others? That's really a total personal choice. I think it's like anything. It's like, do you have to discuss your medical history with people? Do you need to talk about any legal stuff you've been through? If you've had a bankruptcy or divorce or whatever, especially perfect strangers or the YouTube community, do they need to know all about your personal life? It's really up to you what you want to share, right? You're not obligated to share that. That's totally a personal thing. It's between you and your doctor, potentially people in your family, close friends maybe. That's the kind of stuff, it's totally up to you. And there's no obligation to talk about TRT because it's a personal medical thing between you and your doctor. So I think, for the most part, again, unless you want to talk freely about it, then it's your own thing. Okay, so hopefully this has brought a lot more understanding about what TRT really is. And some of you out there, again, men and women, if you're feeling those symptoms that I talked about early, go get yourself checked out, especially men up and over 40. It's more common than you'd think. So go get yourself checked out, get your blood work done, go see your doctor. All right, thanks for watching another GetFitOver40.com video. Until next time, take care.